All Grown Up. Hey everyone, this is the All Grown Up podcast. Your 20s, your 30s, they're incredibly hard, incredibly important. So that's what we talk about here. And we tackle a secret, a question, or a lie that we're believing, and that's what we tackle for the episode. And like always, try to do it with as much truth, hope, and hilarity that we can muster. And I'm going to start today's episode with a question of, have you ever gone through a breakup before? Basically, have you ever been dumped before? And I'll admit I have. I've been dumped a few times. I'm happily married now, 4 kids, but I was dumped. I know it's hard to believe that I was dumped. I mean, you look at this face, this ruggedness, the smile, the charm. I'm joking. I mean, I can understand why people would dump me. But have you ever gone through a breakup before? Have you ever been dumped? You might have heard me tell a story before. I've gotten a lot of mileage out of this story. So I thank you for dumping me now. But back in college, I was dating a girl. Sorry if you're watching this, by the way, or if someone shared this with you, but you did dump me, so I guess I get the the privilege of sharing this story for the rest of my life. But I was dating this girl in college. She wanted me to meet her parents. So that's that kind of moment, right? You're going to go meet the parents. That's like that next step. That's like picking you up from the airport, helping you move, meeting their parents. That's like up there. And the only problem was that it was pouring rain. I was in Santa Barbara. She was in San Diego with her mom, and she wanted me to go down and meet her for a day or two before school started again, back from Christmas vacation. But it was pouring rain. I mean, hurricane-esque rain. We're in California, right on the coast, so I'm driving down the 101 freeway, and it is just pouring cats and dogs and whales. I mean, being lifted out of the ocean and crashing down on the 101. And I'm driving my 93 Honda Civic hatchback, which weighs about as much as, 2 crackers with some peanut butter in the middle. That's about as much as the Honda Civic weighs. So I'm just trying to keep it on the road, cats and dogs flying everywhere, whales, hurricane-esque storm. But I'm like, I gotta go meet this girl's parents because I'm thinking I might be in love. That's always the question. I might be in love. This might be the one. I don't know if you can hear me whispering, but that's what you do when you're thinking about, is this the one? You whisper. So I'm driving down there thinking this might be the one, so I gotta get through the rain. I gotta do whatever it takes. I make it there, safe and sound. Somehow my Honda survives. Meet the parents. Goes incredibly well. Oh man, I was charming. I was friendly. I was appreciative. Just pulling out all the stops. Really tricking this mom into thinking that I'm a fine young gentleman, which maybe I was. I don't know. But so anyway, I leave and I have to get back to college, but it's pouring rain again. I'm thinking, wow, that went amazing. So, my Honda's not even driving now. It's just kind of hovering on the road. Who cares if there's rain? I'm not even hitting the pavement because I'm that excited. But I start driving home, still pouring rain, start seeing some signs through my windshield, going just light speed, trying to just see anything on the road. I'm seeing some signs coming up. I basically make out mudslide ahead, highway closed. So there's this huge mudslide, took out of town. It was tragic, terrible. Whole highway's closed. I get pulled off into some roads. It's pouring rain. I get lost. At one point, I'm so lost, I call the police. Literally called 911. Because I just didn't know what to do. I was so lost. It's pouring rain. This was like before, we had maps on our phone. This is how old I am. I just had like a flip cell phone. Trying to call my roommates back at home. Can they help me get back home? They were busy watching some sporting events, so they couldn't really help. So I called the police and to try to see how do I get back to college. And they basically politely said, don't ever call if you're just lost. Thanks. So anyway, I didn't know how to get back to college. So what do you do in a time like this? You go back and hang out with your girlfriend some more. So that's what I did. I drove hours back to San Diego, spent another day with my girlfriend. Then I figured out a new plan, some new back way where you can go all the way up north of Santa Barbara to come back south on the 101. So you're kind of going all the way around the mudslide through this windy back road, up some hills, mountains, crazy. I take that road, again, pouring rain, of course, going through this mountain roads in a Honda Civic hatchback, which is a crumbling peanut butter cracker sandwich now at this point. Barely making it. But I get up north of Santa Barbara. I'm coming back down the highway, still pouring rain, and now I'm seeing signs again. Oh, great. What is it now? Highway closed. A semi truck is jackknifed across all the lanes. They're closed the highway, so now there's literally no way. It's south on the 101's closed, north on the 101's closed. It's like this shield around Santa Barbara. It's impossible to get to it. So I'm ushered into a field now with hundreds and hundreds of my newest compadres, friends, in their cars as we're in this field, pouring rain, mud everywhere. We're just stuck, just literally stuck. So I think, well, I'll call my girlfriend. I'll give her the update. At this point, I've been driving like 20 hours to make a 2-hour drive. But I'm in love. She could be the one. You know, that's what you do, right? So I'm sitting in this field. I give her a call. I'm giving her the update. And she says, Paul, we need to talk. I don't know if you've ever heard that phrase spoken to you before. It never precedes like a good statement like, oh, Paul, we need to talk about our 2.4 kids and our dog named Mittens and how incredible you are. We need to really talk about how amazing you are, Paul. I just want to let you know. No. Can we talk always leads to we need to break up. And that's what she went ahead and did. She broke up with me on the phone after meeting her parents, which she requested for me to do in the pouring rain. I'm stuck in the middle of a field pouring 20 hours in a Honda, and she dumps me. I felt like I was living in some like Dawson's Creek or Gilmore Girls or some 90s sitcom episode at that moment, and I just started laughing when she dumped me. And she's like, I don't think this is very funny. I'm like, I think it's hilarious. You dumped me. I'm in the pouring rain. I'm stuck. I can't get home, and you're dumping me. I was just in disbelief. So I don't know if you've ever gone through that before. Maybe not that exact story. That was a little dramatic. But you've been dumped. You go through a breakup. Even if you're the one that's breaking up with the person, it's still a breakup. It's still this stark change and transition where you don't even know what to do with yourself because so much your identity was wrapped up in that one person, in that relationship. So now you're just waking up and you're eating peanut butter with a spoon and like crumbling Oreos in it and just not taking a shower for 3 days and watching the Dawson's Creek Marathon on TBS or something, you know, finding it on Netflix and just binging on terrible 90s sitcoms. I don't want any hate mail from Dawson's Creek fan. Of course, I liked Dawson's Creek at one point too, but you don't even know what to do with yourself because so much of your identity, your future was wrapped up into this one relationship. And the reason I tell this long story about a breakup and have you ever gone through a breakup, because that's what I feel like transition feels like most of the time. Really, transition is a breakup. And it could be a tangible breakup, like I've just explained. Somebody you're dating, somebody you're married to, there's a breakup. Or it could be a loss of job. That's a breakup. You're getting fired. It could be you moving to a different city. It could be an illness. It could be the whole world shutting down to a pandemic. That's kind of a breakup in a lot of ways, where this just really stark transition and change that feels like a punch to the gut when you're looking the other way. Like you didn't even see it coming and you get sucker punched and now you can't even breathe. And that's what transition can feel like. But we talk about transition so lightly, so easy, you know, like I'm just going through a bit of a transition. That's a terrible English accent. But that's what it sounds like, you know, some English gentleman just sending his regrets. I'm going through a bit of a transition. No, transition doesn't feel like that. You know, it feels like our first reality with transition, which is birth. That's what it feels like. The screaming and the pain and the ripping. I mean, they call the last phase of birth the transitional phase, for Pete's sakes. And I've now experienced 4 births. Thankfully, I didn't have to do the birthing. My wife is incredible. Shout out to my wife. No drugs, nothing, just straight gritting it birth. While I'm holding one of the legs. And it is intense. It's not like an English gentleman sending his regrets. My wife was saying some other things in a very different accent as we were going through that transition. And that's when, as a husband, I figured out that you can start crying, you can throw up, and you can pass out all at the same time. That was me. Anyway, maybe that's TMI. I'm sorry about that, but transition is that intense. And as we go through this serious transition and change. I mean, it just feels like we're just in this constant upheaval of change and transition where there is no normal. You know, the new phrase is the new normal, which man, can I strike that phrase out of the English language because it's just so annoying. Some of these phrases, the new normal. This is the new normal. I just hate it. I don't know. It just like nails on a chalkboard to me. But they're right. But in any season, there is no normal. We're constantly changing. There's constant transition. Once we think we've got it all figured out, change happens. It is inevitable. There is no such thing as normal. Now, obviously, we've been ripped in many ways from whatever normal we had. As we're working from home, or we've lost our job, or kids can't go to school, or we can't even go out into a restaurant and eat food or go to a concert or nothing. I mean, there's just so much that has changed. So how do we make it through it? So that's the question, and it's taken a while for me to get to that. But how do we make it through stark transition and change? How do we do it? Well, one, again, we're all going through it. It's normal. But I'll make the argument, and this is a hard argument to make right now because it might not feel like this at the moment. But I think transition change is not just a season to rush through, to just get to the other side as quick as possible. I think transition and change is not just something a bridge to get to the next important season of your life. I think the seasons of transition are some of the most important seasons of our life because there's so much that happens to us when we are stripped of everything that we used to depend on. When all those crutches that we used to rely on get kicked out from underneath us, right? We have to figure out how to stand on our legs again. And I feel like that's been the case for many of us right now, where we learn more about ourselves in transition and change than we do when everything is comfortable. Right? You don't really learn much about yourself when things are comfortable. When you're sitting at the luxury resort, drinking a pina colada by the ocean, you don't learn a ton about yourself. You just drink your pina colada and you're just loving life. But when you are lost, when you're going through transition change, which I really feel like is kind of also like being lost. When you're out on a trail, you take the wrong turn, it's getting dark. I mean, if you've ever been like this, I live in Colorado near the Rocky Mountains, so I've gone on many hikes. I worked at a ranch in the mountains, so there's definitely this times where it was like pitch black and you feel lost. You don't know where you can't even see your hand in front of your face. It's so dark. In those times, man, your senses come alive. And you learn a lot about yourself when you're lost. You learn a lot about how you handle pressure. You grow a lot in your character, in your humility, in perseverance, in your faith when you feel lost. And that's what transition can feel like. And it really, we can see it in two different ways. We can see it as either a time where you are exploring something new, where you're on some different path, things have been taken away from you, you've had that breakup, so you're exploring something new, or you're wandering and you're lost. But really, they're almost the same. And maybe you've heard me say this before. I think I said this in my book, 101 Secrets to Your 20s, where I basically said all explorers have to get lost. That's kind of the first step to exploring, is you're getting lost. But explorers get lost on purpose, with purpose, for a purpose. Explorers, they get lost on purpose, with purpose. A lot of purpose. With explorers' lostness. It's not just some random thing. They're doing it strategically. And they're also not doing it by themselves. Rarely is an explorer out there by themselves. They always have some party with them. Not like a, hey, party, but like a traveling party. Sorry, that was terrible. Hey, hey, party. I don't know what party that is, but I probably don't want to go there. But they have a traveling party with them, right? They have guides with them. They have people that have been there before that kind of know the lay of the land that are helping them explore. So we need those people in our life. So that's one. When you're going through transition change, you need to have people there with you. Don't go and explore or be lost on your own. Need those people with you. But also it's in those times of exploring when you feel lost that we grow the most. We learn the most. Our senses come the most alive. And we also find a lot of purpose, I think, in those seasons. Because we really have to sit and be still sometimes. When you're lost in the wilderness, it's pitch black. Sometimes you just got to sit down to get your bearings. I remember those times, and just your senses, your hearing and your touch and your smell, it's all coming alive because you can't really see. You can't really see in those times of transition change when you feel lost. So you learn so much about yourself in those times. So don't rush through a transition, whatever it is, whether it's a breakup, a loss of job, a loss of relationship, just a loss of comfort. Don't rush through it to get to some other comfortable place. And I think that's what many of us make the mistake of. We lose something, we have a breakup, and then we rush into some other bad relationship that's unhealthy just because we want something that feels comfortable again. Even if it's an unhealthy comfortable, we just something that feels permanent. We just can't take the changing and the sifting sands underneath us. Well, right now, my friends, gosh, we got to embrace it. We got to embrace it, and we got to sit in it at times. There's things that we cannot change. We cannot change all the change that's happening. So don't rush through the transition. Marinate in it a little bit. Ask God for help. Pray. Sit in some silence. Go on hikes. Read some good books. Ask yourself, what is really important in my life? You know, this is a great season where you're shown a lot of the path you were on, and now this new path, and what path do you want to be on in the future? We can ask ourselves some of those hard questions in seasons of transition and change. So even if it feels like you're going through this breakup, don't rush through it. So I'll wrap this up with something I wrote in my book, 101 Questions You Need to Ask in Your 20s. And it is a good book to ask questions, because that's what it is. And whether you're in your 20s or 30s, I think it's a meaningful book for anybody that's going through transition change, which is pretty much all of us. But as I write in the book, that maybe transitions aren't something to fly through, but something to marinate in. Don't just make it through a transition, make the transition matter. Transitions are not simply a bridge to the next important season of your life. Transitions are the most important seasons of your life. As you walk through the transition, what is going to guide our way? Is it fear, or is it going to be faith? Faith says, this transition is taking me to a better place. Keep moving forward, so it's full of hope. Fear says, take me back to what was. Even if it was terrible, at least I knew what to expect. Where is your transition trying to lead you? What is it telling you about the future you want to transition into? Take a moment and think about this today. Yes, transitions can feel like a bad breakup, but wouldn't you rather break up than stay in a dead-end relationship? Thank you, everybody. This is All Grown Up. Blessings to you today as we go through transition and change. And maybe you're like that tree, that plant that's in a pot, and it's just outgrown it. So you got to get transplanted through transition to another place, maybe the actual ground, to get planted in, and so your roots can grow deeper. But when you're in that transition place, it's going to be painful. But I really believe that God cares about us too much to leave us in that pot that we're outgrowing. He's going to put us in the wide open spaces, but we might feel lost as we transition to that place. That's okay. Hold on, cling tight, keep the faith, keep hope, bring people around you, because this transition is leading you to somewhere important. Thank you.
All grown up.